Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be talking about the California Task Force and kind of what's been going on with reparations and all that stuff. So let's get right into it. California Task Force releases a report on reparations for states black residents. By the way, California, I want no reparations at all. Don't give me money. I do not need reparations from anybody, by the way. A national poll found that nearly 2/3 of Democrats support reparations, while 90% of Republicans oppose, as they should, because I don't need reparations. I don't need handouts from people. And by the way, I don't need handouts from white people today that have nothing to do with the incidents that happened over like 100 years ago. No, sorry, they have. They don't. The white people today have nothing to do with that stuff and are not associated with it. A California task force assembled by state lawmakers to study slavery, its lingering effects on black Americans, and the issue of reparations has released a 500-page interim report detailing what it calls badges and incidents that remain embedded in the political, legal, health, financial, educational, cultural, environmental, social, and economic systems of the United States of America. We'll do the report as well, guys, just see what it actually says here. So we'll get into that. The report documents a litany of state-sanctioned offenses against California's black residents that occurred not only during slavery but into throughout much of the 20th century. In California, racial violence against African Americans began during slavery, continued through the 1920s as groups like the Ku Klux Klan permitted local governments and police departments, and peaked after World War II as African Americans attempted to move into white neighborhoods. The executive summary of the report states: in California, federal, state, and local governments created a segregation through discriminatory federal housing policies, zoning ordinances, decisions on where to build schools, and discriminatory federal mortgage policies known as redlining. The report is divided into 13 chapters and is a broad scope in covering wide-ranging issues, including racial terror, voting rights, housing segregation, black families, the arts, culture, legal system, mental health, and the wage gap between black and white Californians. Discussion of any form of reparations is often divisive, and the question on the minds of many residents is whether or not California's task force actually recommended payment of reparations to some segment of black California residents. The answer: yes. In fact, the word reparations appears 5 times in the executive summaries, a preliminary recommendations section, and 80 times in the full document, which we'll also go through this here because we're going to find out exactly what this means. A nationwide poll conducted last year by the University of Massachusetts Amherst WCVB found that nearly 2/3 of Democrats, 64%, support some form of reparations to American descendants of slavery, ADOS, while 90% of Republicans oppose. Shortly after the interim report was published, conservatives took social media to voice their displeasure. There were never slaves in California. Reparations absurd. U.S. soldiers in 1946, led by Fremont, founder of anti-slavery Republican GOP in 1956, and Stockton of New Jersey, who was the first in Navy to capture slave ships and set slaves free. Whether it was even if there was slaves in California, I don't care. I don't want people to pay me money for things that happened well over 100 years ago that has nothing to do with the current white people of today. They are not at fault for the things that happened during today. I do not, and for furthermore, which makes me even more angry, which I'll go into a little bit later. But I'll say my tiny bit is that I do not want my friends paying me money for something they did not do when I know actively they're not racist. Reparations will be challenged in court and shot down because the individuals directly harmed are no longer alive. Holding a whole race of people responsible for actions they never committed is wrong, both legally and morally. Supporters of reparations, however, often cite the fact that the U.S. government has already paid reparations to other racial and ethnic minorities. Direct payments, the amount of which won't be specified until a finalized version of the report is published in 2023, actually comprise a small part of the task force recommendations. The task force, composed of policymakers, doctoral degree makers, and more than 120 additional staffers, writers, editors, consultants, contributors, witnesses, and tech support, primarily opposed to address grievances by passing new legislation, amendments to California state constitution, and mired sweeping sweeping policy changes that would not result in any payments based on race or ideological status. Okay. I'm gonna before going into anything else, I'm going to experience my anger about this, because this is supposed to be for me, right? You know, to help me, right? Well, let me put this in a very clear perspective into how this pisses me off. I do not want reparations from anybody, from people I don't know, and especially from people that I do know. Okay? I have friends that I have known since high school. I have friends that I have known since third grade. All right? I know these people. I know that they are not racist. And I sure as hell do not want them paying me money for things that they did not do, especially in current day. I know that they're not racist, and to have them and to force them to pay me things that I do not want them to pay me for is ridiculous. You know what's going to happen, California? I'll actively be making a video if they do end up having to pay me. You know what I'm going to end up doing? I'm going to end up going to them immediately, whether the 2-hour drive or whatever, and then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that money that they end up paying me and giving them back that money, because I do not want them paying me something that is not their fault. It is not their fault for anything that happened over 100 years ago. Period. It is not their fault. It is not any white person's fault in current day to have to pay me anything. I do not want money from these people. And if I do get money that says reparations for slavery or whatever, I'll go to any white person, because not black person, because I'm not going to any black person for it. I'm going to any white person, and I will actively give them money that I have been paid because I do not want it. Period. We all think this is a game, but this is not a game, Democrats. This is not something that I want. And I say Democrats because it says the majority of the report says that most of the Democrats want this. I do not want this. At all, period. I'll literally stay in America, in this fucking shithole state, just so I can pay my friends back the money that they should not owe me. It's absolutely absurd that these racist piece of shit Democrats want to force white people to pay for things that they have not done in their entire lives. First, my money will go to my friends, because at least I know which direction I would need to take to give them to them, because they're my bottom line. So, any of my white friends that have to end up paying me for stuff, they're getting money back immediately. I'll pay for the trip. The trip, for me, they will not have to pay for me to have to go to them, because some are 2 hours away, and some are 5 hours away. That trip will be paid by me specifically, and then any of the money that I have been received, which we wouldn't give them names, but received for reparations, I will give them back that money. They will not pay me a single fucking dime of that money. Period. Not happening. And I know there's some people that would say, oh, but what about... No. They're not at fault. Period. No white person in this country is. Alright? This is showing that you guys are actually racist. And I'm sick and tired of it. We know what these Democrats are doing. They're trying to divide us. And I am no longer standing for it. Part of the reason why I made this YouTube channel was because so I could stand up against BS like this. I'm sorry for any white person that has to pay any black person this in California, because that's completely absurd. That's better be thrown out in court immediately. Let's get on to the next one. This is a 500-page document, so we're not going to go through everything. So they're going to pretty much go do with the enslavement, racial terror, political disenfranchisement, cloud segregation, separate and unique education, and all this other stuff here that we would find. I will be posting this. I will be posting this PDF to you guys and the actual description here, so you guys get to see the whole thing. I will not hide things from you, and I will make sure everything goes to fruition here. Wherever this is the acknowledgments, and again, we'll get to see everybody that gets to be put in here, and all this other stuff, and what have you. All right, so I will not be going through this whole thing because there's no point to it. It's really, really long, and I don't see the really point to this. Introduction and all stuff like that. So we're going to go with the key findings here with the other thing. Again, this will be posted in the actual description. So the government's levies adopted and enshrined white primary beliefs and passed laws in order to maintain slavery. Okay, yes. But when was this actually done? See, that's the thing. So when you were talking about this being done in the 1820s, etc., like that, even we go like 100 years into the years, it'll be 1920, right? And then even if we go to to the 2000s, that's 200 years, give or take, right? So therefore, it's been it will be over 200 years. It'll be less than 200 years, be around 150, 170, give or take. We'll talk about the 1963 to 1965 type deal stuff, right? So that's the thing. So all these things have happened, regardless whether there was slavery or not in California. Is irrelevant to me. The fact that this man is going out here and saying that, you know, that there was slaves or no slaves in California, I don't care if there was or was not, because regardless of the fact, I don't want reparations from anybody, period. It's not something that I want. It's not something that I care for at all. And I'll even put this as directly here, because I'll readily make this tweet as shown here, because this is something that very angrily makes me upset. I can't even spell receive, guys. There. But again, this is how angry. This is one of these few things that has making me angry, because again, a lot of the Democrats, what they're doing is that they're affecting me and they're affecting my friends as well. But this is directly just hurting one group of people, and forcing them to pay for something that they did not do. It's making them being liable as crimes when they didn't do anything. And I know damn well my friends are not like this. All right, guys. That's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Let's fight it back against this bullshit.